Well, today we're working on a pair of Iron Rangers that were resold somewhere else. He said it was somewhere in California, but unfortunately what they ended up doing was taking off the original sole and then just gluing a sole on top. These are all the original stitches that were on there. There's no midsole, no nothing, and then these were just kind of nailed in. Not even the right type of nails, but obviously just done half-ass and not done very well, so we're gonna do it the right way. So let's see what we're working with here. What I like using these for a lot is for the heel, primarily because as you lift it up, pretty much comes straight up, and there's less flexing in the boot, so you don't have to worry about bending or misshaping the shank or anything like that. It helps out with that. Yeah, look. You can even use threaded nails. Although if you're gonna do something like this and only attach it with this, you wanna use clinching nails so it goes inside and grabs, but not even that. So. Really doing this on pretty well. I want to be gentle with this because we're pulling on the welt with no support underneath with it because there's no midsole. It's clear that they didn't replace the cork. This is all the original corking that's in there. And as you can see, this is all the original top stitching that was on there. Yeah. Just not a good job at all. Plus we're going to have to reattach some of the gemming. Some of the gemming is coming apart. It's not in bad shape. It just needs to be re-adhered. Well, I'm glad the welt stayed in decent shape. No tears or anything like that. Alright, well let's get these nails out and They really did a job, didn't they? Get these nails out, clean this all up, and get a real midsole on it, and get the sole that he wants on it. He wants the same type of sole, but obviously we'll use a new one. So, alright. Alright, so we got the midsoles on. He wanted leather. Now we're going to put the tacks in. So the heel is all set and secured. Alright, so that's nice and solid now, and that's not going to come off. Next thing we need to do now is stitch it, and then he wanted white stitching on the top, so we're going to clean this up and make everything look nice before we do the white stitches. That way there's less chance of them getting dirty. Yeah, and then once that's stitched on, then we're going to put the soles on, the 100 bottoms, and then we'll add the heels. Alright. When we get done stitching them, everything came out great. One thing I like to do is I like to pull this top thread. There we go. Pull the top stitch up. And pull it up. And that way, you know, when everything's all glued down, you don't see any fraying at the top stitch at the top. When you're looking down, everything's pulled underneath. Same thing with this one. Now we're gonna glue this, put the sole on it, and get her moving. Well, we got the glue on. Now we're gonna put the sole on. And cobblers have their wonderful way of how they like to attach. I like to see the front and start it from the front so I can line everything up properly there. And then once I get that down in the spot that I like, then I can bring it down onto the jack last and roll it down. For me, I just have a better visual of lining everything up proportionately on the shoe or boot, doing it that way. Some people go from the heel forward, I go from the toe back. So it's just all a matter of preference and what works for you. So, alright, well, he's now got it set overnight, so everything gets nice and dry and nice and cured. And then tomorrow we'll be able to sand and not have to worry about separation or anything like that. Alright. Alright, we got the soles on. Trimmed them all the way down. You can kind of notice that the welt is a little frayed. And that's just because it's starting to age and the fibers are starting to kind of separate a little bit. But what I normally tend to do is add a little bit of water. And then I'll sand on the num tag and then also by hand. and the water kind of like tightens everything back up again, and it'll be a lot smoother. It won't be as frayed. But then we're gonna add the heel base. With this type of shoe or boot, it's not a real tall heel base because we're using a thicker top lift. So what I do is I cut out a piece of veg tan, and then I'll put that in the spot that it needs to be for the heel base, trim that down, and then we'll be adding that right on top of it. So then that way we get that contrast with the boot with the heel base on there. A lot of times you can just use just this, and this is the right height. So what we do is we kind of trim this down a little bit, because as you can see, it's kind of concave through here and it's a little thicker through here. So what we do is we kind of take this down a little bit so this is all flush, and it's just a little bit thinner so it matches the height of this, so that we have a nice flush bottom from toe to heel. Alright, so we got the heel bases on, got them nailed and also glued. We got our heels, see, we kind of trimmed it down a little bit so that they're a little bit more flush, take off a little bit of that height. And then what we do is we get this on here, line everything up. Perfect. And we start adding our nails. Sometimes you get it on the first hit, sometimes you don't. There's a little groove there, so you gotta turn the hammer over to do that. Alright, so now we have our heel, our top lift, and our heel base. We're going to trim this down and then do all the finishing touches along the sides like I talked about with the water. Put a little bit more conditioner on here, and it'll be ready to go. Alright, so we're all done. You can kind of see how everything is. Stitching turned out great, and you can see with the water and then sanding made everything nice and smooth right through there. Everything turned out great. And there are two shoes, so make sure that both of them turned out good. You can see there too. Yeah. So thankfully, he brought these in, didn't wear them too much, because that gemming was coming apart. The previous guy that did these didn't have this midsole, didn't replace the torque, so he had no idea, and I really had no idea as well if the gemming was coming apart before that or if it was coming apart because of that. But it could have gotten a lot worse, and You know, I mean, I think he probably could have even just like walked right through it if the glue separated at all. But now everything is nice and strong and structured. They look a lot different, a lot better now. They look the way that they should. So now he'll have these for another, 10 years or however long he wears them. And then we'll move on from there. But you want to keep these boots because these are nice boots, looking good, and resoled the proper way. So there you go.